In our digital lives, we've all got something precious to protect. But how do you actually guard your data against threats you can't even see? Well, in this explainer, we're going to build a digital fortress piece by piece to show you exactly how to defend your most valuable information. So, here's our plan. First, we're going to survey the battlefield we're on. Then, we'll dive into the secret codes that protect our treasure, set up the gatekeepers who control who gets in, build the defensive walls, and finally, we'll look at maybe the most important part of all, the human factor.
All right, first things first. Any fortress builder knows you can't just build on shaky ground. So we need to understand the landscape we're building on and get a good look at what or who we're actually up against.
Yeah, this is not some peaceful kingdom. It's a landscape that's constantly changing, where attacks are getting smarter and way more powerful every single day. And what that means is that a solid security strategy isn't just for huge companies anymore, it's for every single one of us.
Okay, so what are we protecting exactly? Well, inside our fortress, that's where the treasure is. In the world of cybersecurity, we call this an asset. And it's not just gold and jewels, right? It's your hardware, your software, and maybe most importantly, your personal data. That's the prize the attackers are after.
And wherever there's treasure, there are always threats. A threat is, well, it's pretty much anything that could possibly harm your assets. It could be a natural disaster, an honest mistake, or, let's be real, most often it's a malicious attacker who's actively trying to find a way through your walls. But here's the thing. A threat is only a danger if it can find a way in, and that way in is called a vulnerability. It's like a crack in the fortress wall. It could be a flaw in the design, a weakness in the code, something an attacker can take advantage of to get inside. And really, the whole game of cybersecurity is a race to find and patch up these cracks before they do.
So, here's a really crucial point. Building high walls isn't actually the first step. No, the first step is to make the treasure itself completely unreadable to anyone who isn't supposed to see it. And we do this with a modern take on an ancient art, cryptography. This is our first and probably most important line of defense. Now, cryptography gives us two main types of locks. On one side, you've got symmetric encryption. This is kind of like a simple diary lock. You use the same key to lock it and to unlock it. It's simple, for sure, but you have to figure out a safe way to share that key. But then you have something really clever, public key encryption. This uses two different keys, a public one that anyone can use to lock something, and a private one that only you have to unlock it. Let me walk you through how this two-key system works its magic. Imagine Bob hands out identical open padlocks to anyone who asks. That's his public key. Now, Alice takes one of those padlocks, puts a secret message in a box, and snaps it shut. That box is now completely secure. The only thing in the entire world that can open it is the one unique key that Bob kept secret for himself. That's his private key. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so our treasure is locked up tight in an unbreakable box. Awesome, but we're only halfway there. Now we have to ask, who should even be allowed into the treasure room in the first place? And what should they be allowed to do once they're inside? This brings us to access control.
At the heart of all this is a master list, something like this, called an access control matrix. It looks like a simple grid, but it has a really powerful job. Think of it like this. The rows are the people and the columns are the files. And the little cells in the middle, they spell out exactly what each person is allowed to do. So you can see user A might have full control over file 1, but user B can only read it. And these are the basic permissions the gatekeeper can hand out. Read lets you view a file. Write lets you change it. Execute is for running it like a program. And own is the master key. It lets you decide who gets all the other permissions. This whole system enforces a super critical idea in security, the principle of least privilege. Basically, you give someone just enough access to do their job and absolutely nothing more. All right, so our treasure is locked, and we've got strict rules about who can get near it. Now it's time to build the outer defenses, the walls, the moats, and the watchtowers that are going to protect our entire kingdom. So imagine you've got two types of guards patrolling your fortress walls. First, there's an intrusion detection system, an IDS. This is your watchdog. It's always on patrol, and if it sees anything suspicious, it starts barking like crazy by sending out an alert. Then you have an intrusion prevention system, or IPS. This is more like a guard dog. It doesn't just bark, it bites. It has the authority to actually block the suspicious activity and neutralize the threat right there on the spot. So, the fortress is built, the treasure is locked, the guards are on watch. It seems totally impenetrable, right? But what if the biggest threat isn't a battering ram aimed at your walls?
but just a simple trick, one that's aimed at the people inside.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Up to 90% of all the email flying around out there might be spam. And it's not just annoying junk mail. This is the #1 delivery method for something called social engineering. These are attacks that don't even try to break down your walls. Instead, they just try to trick someone on the inside into opening the front gate for them.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Your high-tech walls, they can stop a brute force attack. Your encryption can protect your data, even if it gets stolen. But are the people inside your fortress ready for an attack that doesn't target code, but targets human psychology? Because that's what social engineering is. It's an attack on trust.
So as we step back and admire our completed fortress, we're left with this one big idea. The strongest lock in the world doesn't matter one bit if someone can be tricked into just handing over the key. Real security isn't just about technology. It's a partnership between powerful digital defenses and smart, vigilant people who know what to look out for. The strongest fortress has both.